Okay, I was asked to do this particular problem, and if you recall, what happens is it says that this distance s, at least in the problem that the student gave me, this distance s is 7.5 feet, and it's the first part of the question asks for the initial velocity right over here for launching the ball, so that it just barely goes into the net. Second part of the problem is to determine the height, h, where the ball just barely clears the fingertips of this guy. So we'll do them one step at a time. The student asked me to do it with Mathematica, so I'm going to pause, pull up Mathematica, and type in a few equations. Okay, so here's the initial part of the Mathematica. The first thing I do when I open up Mathematica is I quit. The second thing to do, some of you have been putting quit in with the next couple of lines. You have to put quit all by itself, because as soon as it does the quit, it quits. It doesn't do anymore. So you have to have them separated. So if you notice these little cells over here, see they're in different cells. This down here, see how all of this is in the one cell? All of this is in the same cell, right? So what I'm saying is don't put these guys together. Keep them separate. So you quit first. Next thing you do is, I noticed that there's a lot of 30 degree. I have difficulty typing things and making sure I do it right. So I like to define things up here, 30 degree. You can also put in G and say G is 32.2, whatever. It makes typing a little bit easier. Make sure that you don't make some mistakes. So I execute that one as well. Here are the equations for the first part of the problem. Basically, this is the x direction, so it's 25 plus 7.5, which was the value of s, equals two equal signs, VA cosine of the angle times t, and then here's the y value as well. I'm pretty sure I typed those in correctly. We'll execute those. All right, so I have two equations and two unknowns. What I want to do is, I'll call it answer for part A is one equal sign. And I want to solve the equations for, if I have two equations, I need to tell it to solve for two things. So I want to solve for VA and T. I really don't care what T is, but I'm going to get the VA. So we go here. It says it doesn't really like these inexact coefficients. Remember, Mathematica was written by mathematicians, or it was inspired by mathematicians. They like to use exact coefficients. The way you can get exact coefficients is anything with a decimal point, just get rid of. So for example, you can call this guy up here, instead of 7.5, you can call it 75 divided by 10. This would be 1/2. This guy would be 322 divided by 10. So you can do clever things like that and get rid of that warning. But anyway, most of the time it works just fine. There's two answers because it's quadratic. You obviously throw this one away because you don't want negative time, and so the velocity is 37.92. For the second part of the problem, I will pause and type it in and then come back. Okay, so here are the equations for the second part. It's basically 25 is where the guy is jumping. The h I don't know. If you look at the unknowns, at the things that are blue, there's a VA, but that should be the same VA that I had before. And at the T, now the T is different because the time is not the same when it clears B as when it goes through the hoop. Those are two different times. So maybe you want to call this T2 or something, but whatever. And so it looks like there's three unknowns because there's three blue guys, but really the VA is known. So the first thing I'm going to do is just execute this. Now I need to know what the VA is. Well, I have it up here, so I'm just going to copy and paste. So I'm going to highlight the thing, hit Control-C, and I'm going to type it in down here. And I'm going to say VA is one equal sign, and then I hit the Control-V. If you notice, when it prints out numbers, it kind of gives you a reasonable number of digits, but it's keeping as many as it can hold. And so when you paste it in down here, it's a little bit more exact, if you want to call it that, but it's really just, you really shouldn't be keeping this many digits. But, what the heck, it's only a homework problem. All right, so I hit enter, and so now it knows what VA is, and so I want to solve. This time I want to solve the new equations. All right, and what do you want to solve for? You want to solve for H and the new T, and boom, and there's your answers here. So H is 12.1. That would be in feet, and the time is 0.76. Compare the time to what you had before. It's less time. Obviously, it should be, because it should clear the player's hands and then go into the net. So that's the solution for that one. And I'll post this on the YouTube.